There's a quiet moment in every person's life when they realize something must change. For most people, that moment fades, buried under comfort, distraction, and doubt. But for a few, that moment becomes the spark that builds an empire. This story is not about geniuses or lucky breaks, it's about ordinary people. People who looked failure in the eye and decided not to blink. It's about the courage to begin, the discipline to continue, and the mindset that turns struggle into strength. Story 1. Ethan, the delivery driver. Ethan was a delivery driver in Chicago. He spent his days dropping off parcels, smiling at strangers, and dreaming of more. Every night, he'd sit in his small apartment watching videos about success, money, and freedom. He wanted to start something of his own, but like most people, he waited for the perfect time. One cold December night, his car broke down. He had $200 left in his bank account, rent due in a week, and no plan. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat on his couch and asked himself a question that would change everything. If I died tomorrow, would I be proud of how I lived today? The next morning, Ethan decided to start his small online store, selling handmade phone cases. He had no business degree, no investors, and no connections, just his phone, a notebook, and relentless curiosity. For weeks, no one bought anything. He doubted himself every single day, but instead of quitting, he studied. Not random videos, but his customers. He read every comment, every complaint, every pattern. Slowly, he began to understand what people truly wanted, not cheap cases, but personalized designs that expressed identity. Within 1 year, Ethan's online store made its first $100,000, not because of luck, but because of obsession. He stopped chasing shortcuts and started mastering patience. That's when he learned one of life's greatest truths. Money doesn't chase those who want it, it follows those who build value. Ethan still drives his old car, but now he drives it to his own warehouse. He became a millionaire not because he found a secret formula, but because he stopped waiting for one. Story 2. Amira, the teacher who refused to stay small. Amira was a high school teacher in Texas. Her life looked stable, a steady salary, kind students, quiet weekends. But deep inside, she felt invisible. Every time she taught about history's great innovators, she wondered if she could ever be one. One day, while grading papers, she overheard 2 students laughing about a video. Teachers don't make money, they just tell others how to. That line hit her harder than she expected. That night, she made a promise to herself. If I can teach others, I can teach the world. She began creating short educational videos on YouTube, explaining business concepts in simple, funny ways. Her first videos had fewer than 100 views, but she kept going, 1 video a week, 1 idea every day. After 6 months, one of her videos about how to think like an entrepreneur went viral. Within a year, she had over 1 million subscribers and a 6-figure income. When people asked her secret, she said, "The moment I stopped trying to impress others and started trying to help them, everything changed." Amira became proof that knowledge, when shared with passion, becomes wealth, not just financial, but emotional and spiritual. She still calls herself a teacher, only now her classroom is the world. The pattern behind success. If you look closely, both Ethan and Amira followed a similar path. They didn't start big, they started right where they were. They didn't wait for permission. They acted before confidence came. They faced the same doubts everyone feels, but they used them as fuel, not chains. You see, the world doesn't reward the smartest, it rewards the most consistent. It rewards those who fail publicly, learn quietly, and rise repeatedly. The truth is, every ordinary person has 2 versions of themselves, one that dreams, and one that acts. Success begins the moment those two finally meet. Story 3. Marcus, the janitor who learned to invest. Marcus worked night shifts cleaning office buildings in Atlanta. He was invisible to the people whose floors he polished. One night, while cleaning an office, he noticed a piece of paper left on a desk. It was a printed stock portfolio. He didn't understand it, but something inside him whispered, "Learn this." Marcus began studying finance on his phone during lunch breaks. He read free ebooks, watched tutorials, and took notes on napkins. Every paycheck, he invested $50 into stocks, even when it felt useless. For years, nothing dramatic happened, but he kept going. He learned to think long-term, to treat every dollar like a seed. By the time he turned 40, his investments had grown into a six-figure portfolio. When people asked him how he did it, Marcus simply smiled and said, "I didn't make my money overnight, I made it every night." Marcus still visits the same building sometimes, not as a janitor, but as an investor in the company he once cleaned for. His journey teaches a truth that most overlook. Knowledge compounds faster than money, and when you stay humble enough to learn, the world eventually pays attention. Most people think success happens all at once, a big win, a lucky break, a single idea. But that's the illusion the world sells you. Real success is quiet at first. It looks boring, repetitive, and sometimes even hopeless, until one day it isn't. For the few who persist, there comes a moment when everything changes, not outside, but inside. That moment is called belief. Story 4. Clara, the single mother who built a brand. Clara was a single mother living in a small apartment in Detroit. She worked 2 jobs, one at a grocery store, one cleaning offices at night. Every day felt like survival. But Clara loved something deeply: baking. Her late mother had taught her family recipes when she was a child. Whenever life became too heavy, she baked to calm her mind. Her kitchen was her therapy. One night, after another exhausting double shift, she posted a picture of her homemade bread on Facebook. A friend commented, "You should sell that." At first she laughed. Who would buy bread from a janitor? But the next week, she decided to test it. She baked 10 loaves and took them to a local farmer's market. They sold out in under an hour. Week after week, she returned. She learned about packaging, branding, and customer service by watching YouTube tutorials at midnight. Her small kitchen turned into a mini bakery. She called her brand Rise and Flour. Within 3 years, Clara's bread was being sold in multiple stores across Michigan. She'd gone from cleaning floors to owning her own production facility. When people asked how she did it, she softly said, "I didn't build a business, I built belief." Because that's what success really is, the slow, patient baking of belief until it finally rises. Story 5. Noah, the college dropout who built an empire of service. Noah never finished college. He wasn't lazy, he was restless. He felt trapped in lectures about business when he wanted to do business. At 22, he dropped out and started working at a coffee shop. Every customer who walked in seemed more successful than him. He felt invisible, until one day he overheard 2 business owners complaining about digital marketing. Noah went home and decided to learn everything he could about online marketing. He studied free courses, practiced on small projects, and failed repeatedly. For 6 months, he made no money. Then one local bakery took a chance on him. He ran their ads, boosted their sales, and earned $200 for his first success. That $200 changed his mindset forever. He realized he didn't need to be the smartest, just the most consistent learner in the room. In 5 years, Noah built a digital agency serving hundreds of clients nationwide. He became a millionaire by 28. When asked about his secret, he smiled and said, Every failure was tuition. I just kept showing up for class. The pattern of transformation. Ethan, Amira, Marcus, Clara, Noah. 5 stories, 5 paths, 1 truth. They didn't chase trends, they built skills. They didn't look for shortcuts, they built habits. They didn't escape failure, they invited it as a teacher. Every great empire begins quietly, with 1 choice, 1 risk, 1 act of belief. The question is not whether success is possible. The question is whether you'll stay long enough to find out. Because the moment you refuse to quit, destiny begins to move in your direction. And when that happens, you'll understand what all these people discovered.